Oh no, not this JonTron cringe. Please, I beg of you. I beg of you. I beg and I plead. Just trust the science, bro. Bro, JonTron is still crazy, man. Bipartisan legislators demand answers from Fauci on alleged puppy experiments. Oh, this is a New York Post? Okay, sounds about right. Dr. Anthony Fauci is facing calls from a bipartisan group of legislators to respond to allegations that his National Institutes of Health division, and I guess like tested puppies or something. The White Coat Waste Project report claimed that I've been seeing this picture. What is this picture? Claimed that the researchers locked the dogs in cages with hungry sandflies so that the insects could eat them alive. This claim is curious, you know? This is a very curious claim. To let the sandflies eat them alive. Really? The White Coast Waste Project reports claim that researchers locked the dogs in cages with hungry sandflies so they can eat them alive. Okay. Allegedly 44 beagle puppies were used in a North Africa laboratory, and some of the dogs had their vocal cords removed so scientists could work without incessant barking. So this is apparently in North Africa. What does Fauci have to do with something in North Africa? Debating JonTron. Hey, you think we should watch this Debating JonTron video again? Isn't that curious? What's the point you're making here? Like, yeah, these experiments aren't really ethical. Nobody is denying that. But what does it have to do with just trust? For one, what does it have to do with trust the science? For one, I think he funded it. He signed off on funding, or like him personally funded it. Here, you know what? Hey, we're rabbit hole digging now. Let's go. I didn't think that this is what we were going to be doing, but you know what? Let's go rabbit hole digging. Yeah, Fauci, you're right. Fauci is one of the most prominent African Americans. You're right. Sharky, have you seen Dune yet? Isn't Dune that movie about the worms? Here, let's see. Let's start on Snopes. I don't like 100% trust Snopes, but it's a good starting off point. Did Fauci spend taxpayer dollars on cruel and unnecessary tests of vaccines on beagles? Allocating government funds of the experiment reportedly totaled nearly $500,000. Like half, okay, 500,000. Claim under the direction of Dr. Fauci, the National Institute of Allergy and Infectious Disease Division of the National Institute of Health approved the use of taxpayer dollars to fund cruel and unnecessary testing and experimentation of potential vaccines on beagles. Okay, it says it's mixture. It's true that obligated funds were used by the NIH in the amount of $424,000, somewhere around there, for research conducted by the University of Georgia. Oh, of Georgia. Unless this is the Georgia in like Europe. This is a strange start to this when this post said that this shit was happening in North Africa. Okay, that's a curious meme so far. Get out of my face, bro. To test the efficacy of a potential vaccine for lymphonic beagle subjects. However, it is unnecessary. It is unclear whether Dr. Anthony Fauci, the director of the NIH, NIAID and NIH, personally approved of the project. Researchers conducted on behalf of this division and funded in large part of groups allocated to Congress and by the president. Okay. A University of Georgia spokesperson indicated that the testing on dogs was in fact necessary and that all humane standards were set by applicable agencies were adhered to. Okay. Georgia in Europe. Yeah, there's another Georgia. There, you're exporting your studies to other countries with more lax standards. I get worried too. Yeah, I guess we're just kind of to see what's actually happening, right? Partly Europe, partly Asia. I don't care. It's all Europe, okay? It's all Europe and it's all Asia, all at the same time. It's Schrodinger's continent. Fuck you. If it's even real, then the US might throw some money indirectly. Yeah, that seems to be what happened. It seems like this university did some animal testing and this department gave them money, but it wasn't that, but they weren't like privy to, they didn't like oversee any of the testing. And they said that all ethical standards were like adhered to, but I'm not sure if those are high ethical standards. This seems to be what's happening. And I'm very curious about the have fruit flies eat the dogs alive claim, honestly. Wait, okay, let's see. In an attempt to advance the human vaccine for parasitic disease called lymphonic, how the hell do I pronounce this? Filariasis. The White Coat Waste Project, a Republican-backed advocacy group. Okay, makes a lot of sense. It's all starting to come together. claimed that its July 30th report that Fauci spent $400,000 to commission in a study which healthy beagles were given experimental drugs and intentionally infested with flies that carry the disease-carrying parasite to affect humans. Okay, that's a curious claim. The findings of the WCW investigation subsequently were reported by the likes of Fox News, RT, The Federalist, The Daily Caller, and The Patriot Pro. Okay, it's all, more reading about it, it's all starting to make sense, okay? It's all starting to make sense. When these are the only places that are like, good to know. Snopes contacted the WCW to receive copies of the documents reportedly obtained via the Freedom of Information Act request submitted by the organization's research manager, Daniel Lopez. Holy crap, it's actual fucking Daniel Lopez. Snopes read through the 38-page FOIA request, and our analysis confirmed that obligated funds were issued to the University of Georgia's Research Foundation by the NIH for this amount of money. The efficacy of a potential vaccine for lymphonic filariasis on beagles test subjects. Contracts shared online by the U.S. government defined the research as preclinical models of infectious diseases. Research conducted on behalf of the NIAID, which of Fauci is the director, funded a large part through the funds allocated by Congress. Okay. Neither the NIH or UGR responded to Snopes' request to verify the documents published by the WCW. The letter reference experiments obtained by the WCW confirmed that the experiments took place. Well, is this project self-described liberty lovers and animal lovers? All right. His opposition to animal research began in 1995. Okay. And then it's just this guy. Look through the government documents. Let's see. Yeah, it's the World Championship Wrestling Foundation funded this. It's pretty wild, isn't it? That is also probably Republican backed too, so it's not saying much. Including the name of the vaccine experiment objectives, the file did note that the contractor used healthy adult beagles to administer different forms, presumably vaccines, intermolecular routes. Each set of experiments will use 14 dogs, which 28 at the completion of the study, 7 dogs in each group. Studies began in mid-November 2020. The point of pathogen-free adult beagle dogs were scheduled to receive a total of 3 doses. That exception was 4 dogs in the so-called named blue group. The report having vocalized pain upon administration. After a physical examination 5 days later, all 4 dogs were observed being bright, alert, and responsive. Okay, so I guess it didn't cause like permanent damage. That's good at least. The third and final round was administered on January 14th, 2021, also without incident, but one important exception: half of the animals in the blue group again vocalized pain upon administration. A week later, they were once deemed bright, alert, and responsive. Emails sent between the researchers were included in the FOIA documents, confirmed that the blue group showed consistent pain response. Okay, they're hurting dogs, which makes me giga sad, but it seems like the dogs are okay at least. Now, the research scheduled to be completed on January 15, 2021, and all animals will be euthanized after what? They killed the fucking dog. They killed all the dogs. Will be euthanized after day 196. Why? I was like, we got the happy ending and they were gonna like let them go. They just fucking murdered them. They just killed all the dogs. That's so sad. Why would you do that? What's the point? Hello? I'm new. What's happening? We're reading through some Fauci conspiracy memes. That's very sad, actually. And these 27 related animal experiments have been conducted since the 1940s on these worms, while while the World Championship Wrestling deemed the experiments cruel and unnecessary and claimed that the dogs were often bitten to death. The NIH contends that all research involving animals was overseen by the agency's Office of Laboratory Welfare to ensure they're conducted ethically. All animals used in NIH-funded research are protected by laws, regulations, and policies that ensure the smallest number of subjects and the greatest commitment to their welfare. Furthermore, no evidence was put forward showing that the dogs were subject to biting, let alone bitten to death. In any such information was included in the FOIA document, but it has since been retracted. Okay. Oh, so they retracted it. That's incredible. In an interview with Newsweek, Greg Trevor, Associate Vice President for Marketing and Communications with the University of Georgia, confirmed that the research was for a potential vaccine that was developed and another institution. In an email statement, Trevor reportedly told the publication that under federal rules, a vaccine must be tested on 2 animal species before it can be cleared for human trials, which is also giga sad. Giga sad. If they're like killing all the animals, bro. Is that story true? It seems like this part is true. And if you want to like verify it, all the pages are here in like this document that can like be read here. So you can read all of it yourself if you so choose. Here, let me see. Okay, this document doesn't say anything about euthanasia right now. What about flies? It has the word flies once. I'm not necessarily sure where though. It's not taking me to where. I'm doing like a quick like word check of the entire document. Flies are in there once, but it's only referenced one time. So like the bad ending, I'm not even paying attention. Yeah, it does seem like the bad ending because the disease is currently has no cure. Unfortunately, the animals are part of a trial, must be euthanized. Oh no, bro. They gave the dogs like an irreversible disease. Do not take lightly the decision to use such animals in some of our research. They reported. I think this is the worst thing. It is not the worst ending. The worst ending would be JonTron being right, and this is the dogs being fed to flies and they're like dying and being eaten alive, which I don't think, just thinking of it off the top of my head, I really didn't think that was true. And it seems like that's not true. Nope, wrong button. Rip. Listen, I'm still getting used to this, okay? My bad. They gave 14 beagles an uncurable disease, researched them, and then euthanized them. So that seems to be what happened. Okay. And then in any case, it's likely true that the research was conducted by the UGR, was at least in part funded by the NIH, though it was unclear whether such allegations were personally approved by Fauci. I highly doubt any of this was personally approved by Fauci. Very little of the things that go on in this way are personally approved by Fauci in any way. Oh, JonTron's going insane, man. He's going crazy. I mean, he's already crazy, but I guess he just can't hold it in anymore. What is this?
So now we have two vaccines that are really quite effective. The mRNA vaccine, highly effective. Extraordinarily efficacious, 94 to 95% for mild to moderate disease, and virtually 100% efficacious. Because the real world effectiveness is even more impressive than the results of the clinical trial.
Okay, vaccines are safe. Fear mongering, coronavirus news, lockdown, looking good, highly effective. So what is this? Okay, I get it. Cool. Thank you. 96, 91. Oh, is this just like, it's just flashing a bunch of headlines. Study, Pfizer vaccine 88% effective against Delta variant. Well, it was originally made for the first variant, but people like JonTron decided not to get vaccinated. So now we have another variant that the vaccine wasn't made for. And honestly, 88% efficaciousness for a disease that it wasn't made for is pretty good. So yeah, like another variant came around. Like once again, like just because there's a new Delta variant doesn't mean the normal variant isn't around. If you're in contact with the normal variant, the vaccine's still going to be around like 95% effective. Like, and also, I'm sorry, 90, like, what did it start off as? Like 88 to 85? What's that, like 4%? That's like within the margin of error of like any study, but whatever. Okay. AstraZeneca says COVID-19 vaccine 78% effective in new analysis to seek US approval. Okay. So what is this? Okay. Breakthrough data outlines need for booster. One dose of vaccine only 33% effective, leaving people over 60 vulnerable. Wait, this is only one dose though. There's a reason why it comes in 2 doses. This is such a lie, man. This is just a lie, man. And halting transmission. These are 2 incredibly different. He's dumb as fuck. Oh, he's stupid. Transmission and getting you transmitting and you having the disease in your body is different from you being infected by it. You have a lot of diseases in your body right now and you can transfer them right now, but you can also like not be sick right now. The vaccine prevents you from being sick and it lowers your transmission rate. It doesn't make it 0. You know the reason why the vaccines came around and people still said wear your mask? It's because it doesn't drop transmission to 0. That's not how this works. But I guess people like JonTron decided to get his cheap dunks in on these vaccines instead of listen to anything. Incredible. And then it goes on, I guess, and then they're like, oh, get a booster shot. Yeah, getting a booster shot is good. Sweden halts Moderna vaccine for young adult. Okay.
Highly effective.
They're still effective. What is this? Stop, pause. Japan halts vaccines after a death of 4. When was this? Does that say 2011? Okay, buddy. Holy crap. I didn't know that JonTron had a time machine and he brought COVID into 2011. Oh, incredible. Okay. See, this is why it plays like this. Just so you know, this is the whole reason why it plays like this. It looks like this, right? It's barely a quarter of a second. Any of these headlines or anything are on screen. This is specifically why, because of shit like this. So he can bring up Japan halts vaccines for children, but I'm sorry, they're not the COVID vaccine unless he brought it into the past. He hopped in the goddamn magic school bus and went back to the past to give them COVID. That's the only way this makes any sense. This is the whole reason. And you see this in a lot of like anti-SJW right-wing channels. They do this all the time where they just clip out a headline and then just throw it at you and then just throw a couple at you. And then it feels like you're building a big case. But once you go into it and read actually what was in there, guess what you find? Just peak 100% lies. And sometimes they don't even care if it's lying in the actual screenshot. They just throw it up and it's only there for like a quarter of a second or less, so you may not even notice. But the totality of all of them, they're like 100-something headlines and screenshots that they have in here. It feels like there's something, but once you take a pause and look at any one of these, like their entire argument falls apart. Support Vosh on the ratio. We'd love to get that ratio, boys. Japan holds vaccine. True, that should not have been added to the compilation, but curious how you feel about this. Sweden halts use of Moderna COVID vaccines in under 30s. Stockholm. Sweden's public health agency on Wednesday recommended a temporary halt to the use of Moderna COVID-19 vaccine amongst young adults, citing concerns over rare side effects to the heart. Okay? Like, you can have an adverse reaction to many vaccines. I think almost every single vaccine. But sitting here and saying that this makes it any different than any other vaccine, like, whatever. Yeah, and like, how many is rare? Is it like mega 0.1%? Yeah, like quarts, like you said? Or is it 0.5%? How many? Don't you think it's good? Doesn't it go completely against your point that these agencies are being checked, the governments are checking them and rechecking them and rechecking them and constantly keeping up to date with anything that can go wrong with people 24/7, and just out of pure safety for everyone, they still tell people to wear masks, they still tell people to stay inside right now while they check vaccines again to make sure that what they saw was right. Don't you think that's good? Doesn't that give you, like, this goes completely against his point. This should give you faith in this system that they're constantly making sure it's right, because JonTron would posit that they're just throwing shit at it. It got confirmed because like the elites just wanted it to, and then nobody's allowed to look into it. But then he posts a bunch of screenshots about people always looking into it, finding different data, and then going back and forth on whether or not it's how safe it is, what side effects could possibly happen. But apparently he just doesn't care about any of that, I guess. Just doesn't make any damn sense. Uncritical support for Vouch. I feel like the further research and adjustments always warrant in regards to public health, but the evidence is clear. Taking the vaccine is far safer than getting COVID. That's true. That's true. Can you imagine how these same people would react if Trump supporters staged some sort of insurrection like this? Can you imagine? Can you imagine if Trump supporters did some sort of insurrection? I can't possibly. November 2016. I couldn't possibly imagine Mr. JonTron. Who could see this coming? Heart inflammation, strokes, blood clots, etc. People in young and old, just an afterthought for you and the future adjustment. Maybe not, but maybe you're not really out for the good of the public health after all. Want to go ahead and look up the global COVID death count with me, Slugger? Do your own research. Oof, ow, and ouch. Uncritical support for our good friend Vouch. Wild. Wacky, incredible. And also, just so you know, those things happen also in COVID. But you know what's worse is that you're also incredibly sick when you get those complications as well. So wild, isn't it? It's a little wild, isn't it? Whether the mighty fall so far. He's always been, here's the thing, he's always been like this. Like, a lot of people who you think are just normal are like crazy on the inside. You just don't know anything about them yet. But yeah, no, JonTron is insane. He is super racist as well. I highly doubt he moved off of any of those points after his debate with Destiny. You guys remember that debate with Destiny, right? That old JonTron, rich black people commit more crime than poor white people because they just do be committing crimes 24/7. For what? For pointing out that coverage on vaccines are flawed? Yeah, this seems like incredibly misleading. Like, I'm not sure if he's just stupid or if this is malicious. I'm not sure which one, really. It's unfortunate either way, but if he keeps down this path. Oh, he's trending too. Oh, nice. Very nice. Let's check the quote tweets. Yeah, this is not good. Oh, Jack Prosbiak is trying to do this shit too. Yeah. Hey, we're going to be seeing Jack in in like 2 weeks. I can ask him about this. Oh, just so you know, between you and me, I'm planning a couple of questions for our favorite conservative talking heads when we get to Texas, okay? So if I'm able to come across them, I have some questions for them, and I think you guys are going to enjoy it. I think you guys may like it. I'm gonna try and get my hands on them.